You are on the Six Screens Telenetwork, the go-to site for your infinite source of precise, reliable, and factual material exposing the Watchtower organization.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in once again to another Saturday night up here at the Six Screens. Now, if you never listened to the program and you are a former Jehovah's Witness, maybe you're a witness just leaving the organization and questioning it, well, by all means, you want to listen in to our program tonight. We have a former Jehovah's Witness. Her name is Anne Marie. She's coming in from Northern California, and Anne Marie has got a great program. She gets a lot of people listening in. A lot of people call up and talk to her. And if you have any concerns at all, if you have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, well, this would be a great place to call up. If you never did call in, this is a great place to start. And we'll have the number to be able to call in live, the telephone number, scrolling across the bottom of Facebook and YouTube. So by all means, be looking for that. I'll put that up in just a minute or two. But let's bring Anne Marie on. Hello, Anne Marie.
Hello, my brother Rick. How are you?
Wow, doing good, Anne Marie. Doing very good today. Boy, we're getting in fact, I'll tell you what, we had the warmest day of the year so far up here. We got up to about 85 degrees, if you can believe that.
Oh, wow. Send some of that to me.
Yeah, is it cold out there or cool still?
Pretty cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, we got a nice warm day. It's going to cool back down tomorrow. But boy, I'm glad you're coming on tonight. You're really very reliable. We appreciate that. That's a good quality, and thank you for that. And anything particularly that you might be bringing up tonight?
Well, I was hoping if I could continue with last week's show, Watchtower scams and ripoffs, because we kind of got off in another direction, which is always fine. I want everybody to feel comfortable bringing up what they want.
Excellent. Well, it was good. So, yeah, let's go with that. I like that. And we'll let the audience talk about what they know for scandals and scams in the Watchtower. So I'll cut you loose. You do your show. I'm here if you need me, Anne Marie.
Well, I always appreciate that, Rick, and I know we all appreciate you working so faithfully for over 20 years now, and I thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you very much, Anne Marie. But it's working. I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't working. It's working. Yes, thank you. All right, we're going to let Anne Marie cut her loose and let her do a thing.
Well, welcome everyone into today's show, Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtowers. We all were to one degree or another. Even our friends and family were touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, because how the Watchtower controlled our thoughts and our attitude toward our friends and relatives. And it's sad when I think back on that. I want to welcome always the PIMQs, those who are physically in the Watchtower, but mentally they're questioning. They are seeing things and hearing things and reading things that they just can't swallow down with, well, Jehovah will take care of it. Oh, the governing body, just imperfect men. I want to also welcome the PIMOs, those poor brothers and sisters who are physically in the Watchtower. Mentally, they are out. They've done the research. They know the Watchtower. They see the Watchtower for what it really is, but they still continue to faithfully play the game because they don't want to lose their wife, their husband, their children, their parents, their grandparents, their dear friends. It's a very, very difficult position to be in. Today is April 19th. 2025, and we are coming up, my dear brothers and sisters, we are coming up on 50 years after Watchtower said that Armageddon would come, for sure, no later than the autumn of 1975. And according to a talk that Brother Fred Franz, we called him Crazy Freddy, he even stated a date. It will come after sundown, September 5th, 1975. Can you believe that? It's still on YouTube, that talk. Anyway, we didn't really get to finish considering the different Watchtower scams and ripoffs. And Watchtower, you know, the deeper you dig with Watchtower, the more layers of evil and just ugly that you find, the lies, the scams, the schemes, the rip-offs, the devious things that they do. And the innocent Jehovah's Witnesses who are always told, faithful to Jehovah, organization, obey Jehovah and his organization. Make sure you're always loyal to Jehovah and his organization. The way they connect an indoctrinated program, Jehovah's Witness brain, is to always equate obedience and faithfulness and loyalty to the organization with being faithful and obedient and loyal to Jehovah. And that's just a wicked scam. They cannot seem to extricate themselves from that super glue of connecting Jehovah God, the one they want to serve, the one they think they're serving, by serving Watchtower. It is very difficult. That's why PMPs have a hard time. That's why PMOs have a hard time. And even us who are out of the Watchtower, a lot of us, even though we are out, we know the Watchtower for what it is. We've done research. I know I did 4 years of state research. It was all we did. And still that ingrained indoctrination tends to be down deep in all of us. And I still miss it. I still miss feeling part of the worldwide brotherhood. I miss the singing. I miss feeling like, wow, I'm so blessed to be in Jehovah's organization. I miss that. And I'm wide awake. So we all have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. But I wanted to get back to scams and ripoffs from the Watchtower. But before we do that, always, I want to remind all of you, this show is for you. Anyone who wants to come in, speak, say hello, share a thought, share something, anything you want to share regarding Watchtower, I want you to feel comfortable in hitting *6 and just speak up. Would anybody like to talk? This show is for you. Okay, among Watchtower scams and ripoffs, the one that right now is foremost in my mind, I was on the internet about maybe 5 years ago, and there was a class action lawsuit that some people were trying to get together regarding Watchtower scam of, let's just say, manipulating older Jehovah's Witnesses to sign over power of attorney to an elder and to sign over their property and their jewelry, their paintings, their life insurance, everything, to Watchtower. In fact, last I remember, every single year, right around Christmas time, they would have an article about what a fine way it would be to serve Jehovah by leaving all your worldly goods to further the worldwide witnessing work. They always equate you giving your money as going to the worldwide witnessing work, and it's really actually going to the coffers of the Watchtower. But I was reading through this class action lawsuit, and I was reading all the comments, and then the comments on this site of somebody trying to get a class action lawsuit together against Watchtower, they were all these comments were giving experiences of how their mother, their father, their grandparents got ripped off. And I'll never forget this one man wrote, he said, I was never in the Jehovah's Witnesses, but he said his mother was rather old and she had been talked into giving up all of her power over herself, her life, and everything she owned to Watchtower. He said that the elders were nice to her for a little while. Then they put her in a nursing home, sold her beautiful home, sold off. She had jewelry, she had paintings, she had life savings, she had a lot. And they just stuck her in a nursing home. And I think you said they visited her a few times, but basically they dumped her and took everything. And this is not an isolated case. This has been done. Countless vulnerable, sweet, loving, older Jehovah's Witness men and women that just wanted to be faithful to Jehovah, and that desire to be faithful to Jehovah was used, abused, and manipulated so that Watchtower could get what they wanted. And I never forgot what that man said. He said he was just sick He was just sick what they had done to his grandmother. That's one scam and ripoffs. And like I said, every year that I can remember, right around Christmas time, they would write an article just manipulating older ones to think about using their worldly goods to, help Jehovah or serve Jehovah, however they put it. The other thing we talked about last show, which was 2 weeks ago, was the food ticket scam of the 1980s. Now, in the 1980s, us witnesses were still kind of using cash money and coin to buy our food at the conventions, the district conventions. And this is back when Watchtower actually supplied food source and drink. We all remember the Danishes and, the nice hamburgers and the puddings. And they had a lot of good stuff. They really did. But Watchtower announced at the service meeting one year that the Watchtower had a new program, and they always present it as like they're doing the rank and file a favor. Oh, this is something good. This is something that will benefit you. And they explained this new food ticket scam, and it was a scam. And they said, it's kind of hard to have to worry about dollar bills and change. You don't want it to get stolen. You don't want it to get lost. So we're implementing this new food ticket program, and you could buy each ticket. I don't know if it was worth 10 cents or something, but they wanted everyone to go home and think about how much money they would need to spend for the 3 or 4 days of the district convention. And they were like, don't forget, any Bible studies that might be coming with you, your parents, any friends. They wanted you to buy as many tickets, food tickets, as possible, making it seem like, again, this was a convenience, so you don't have to worry about having the proper change. So they would make this announcement every year, maybe about 3 months, 2 months before the convention, and always encouraging you to make sure you think of everybody now, because they wanted that money. And most Jehovah's Witnesses who attended the district conventions with those food tickets ended up with a surplus left over. And guess what? You couldn't save those tickets for next year's district convention. And I know it's called regional convention now, because over time, with so many leaving the Watchtower, there weren't that many Jehovah's Witnesses in a district anymore. So they had to expand the region, and then they called it regional conventions. So anyway, that was a real scam, because when you think about it, whether or not you used all your tickets or not, Watchtower still got their money. They didn't have to wait for after a convention to say, how much did we make with all the food service? Oh boy, wasn't that a clever trick? Would anybody like to comment? Anybody have any memories to what I'm talking about? Just want you to feel comfortable. Anyone want to speak? You just go ahead and star 6.
Yeah,
Hello.
I'll take the other caller first, please.
Oh, thank you, Ken. Miss you, Ken. Don't leave. Hi, Grace. What's going on?
Hi. I just wanted to remind everybody what Russell said, that the day we have to ask for money is the day we will shut down. So that's not true, of course. But I think they are asking for money all the time, here and there and everywhere now, asking for money. But I just wanted to remind everybody, and maybe somebody can clarify, and maybe somebody have the specific amount also, because nowadays, each month, you as a member, you have to pay a fee. And what I was thinking about, all those people who are kind of not believing it anymore, and maybe they don't go to so many meetings anymore, but they still have to pay. They still have to pay. And I was also thinking about, what about the poor countries? Because if they have the same rules all over Earth, then they will have to have, I guess, the same amount in the poor countries also. And maybe somebody knows how much money it is. And you are welcome to fill me in if you know the amount. each month. Thank you for me.
Well, Grace, thank you. Your first point when you mentioned that Russell had said if ever the organization needs money, that he said something to the effect that that would be a sign that they didn't have Jehovah's blessing anymore, or something like that. I remember reading that in one of his books. So I want to verify and back up what you said about that. And as far as the arrangement where Jehovah's Witnesses have to pay each month to Watchtower, the last I heard, it was $10.75, I think, per publisher. That means if a husband and wife and their 3 or 4 children are all publishers, that is $10.75 times 5 or 6. That's a lot of money, and that's every month. And if you calculate that per year, it is insane how much Watchtower is actually manipulating these poor people to fork over. And you're right, Grace. They are constantly asking for money, even in their Sophia and Caleb videos, you know, guilting these kids to give over their ice cream money. And then when that was, you know, accepted for over a few months, all of a sudden they came up with a video of Sophia and Caleb being guilted into giving up their piggy bank money, or even thinking something they could sell to give to Watchtower. That's on top of parents training their children to put money in the box at the Kingdom Hall. That's what I grew up with. Thank you so much for that, Grace. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Grace? Okay, Ken, great to hear from you. We haven't heard from you in a while. Hi.
Yeah. Well, I've been here and so forth, and been under the weather quite a bit, but the weather's kind of clearing up right now. But still in all, we did have not too good of a day today, not too bad of a one either. It's kind of cold and damp, and they're going to be getting snowstorms up north. This is snowstorm time for up north further up here. They predicted some rain here that didn't come. It might come now, but we've just been getting these cold, damp wind here, miserable wind, and it's not that good here. So, yeah, I've been listening to the program though with interest. We had a lot of calls come in, and I wasn't always able to get in. So,
I've been worried about you.
I'm going to finish up what I started last week. I did take a trip, that 20-mile journey I do once a year there, and I did find out that the Kingdom Hall down here, that's closest to Escanaba, they're still holding their own. They got a big parking lot filled full of cars between 25 and 30. That was on the Memorial Night, so they're still holding their own. They had it a little bit later than other times, but I did get there and I did observe it. So they're holding their own yet in the Upper Peninsula, as far as I know. They're not, nothing is happening here yet. Through the years, there's only been a one Kingdom Hall that was closed, but that was in the Marquette County area, and they got 3 of them there. They had one in Ishpeming, one in Negaunee, and one in Marquette. They closed the one in Negaunee. So they're still holding their own. But then commenting on what you were talking about there, I intend to agree there that the Watchtower Society has been engaged in so many different kind of scams that it's not even, you can't even count them all and so forth. It's just all about money. And I don't understand, I find it hard to believe that they made a pledge that the day that they have to ask for money, they would shut down. Well, that's nonsense. They've had roundabout ways of asking for money since their existence. So,
yeah, I just don't remember Watchtower ever asking for money when I was in the Watchtower, and I was in for quite a while. Only at the end of a convention, they would kind of needle and manipulate brothers and sisters to give whatever they had left in their pocket or their wallet because they had a deficit. And I didn't know until I started really researching that the district conventions especially, but also the circuit assemblies were all basically money-making ventures. It was all a money-making scam.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say there, that they did, although they never directly asked you for money, they had roundabout ways of doing it. Like, in other words, they implied it, but they didn't say it directly. So,
well, Watchtower is masterful at saying what they're saying without actually saying what they're saying. That's part of their craftiness. And you're right. They never actually said it. They never say, give us all your money. We want more. They just say it in such a loving, kind way. And you know, to kind of move your heart to feeling like you're somehow helping Jehovah in his organization, or obeying Jehovah and showing appreciation for Jehovah and for his organization. It's just a scam. It's a scam. Yeah. Oh, it's so good to hear you, Ken. Like I said, I was starting to get worried about you.
Yeah, well, the problem is here, I was under the weather quite a bit for this, because of the weather we've been having here. We've been having cold, damp, miserable weather. It's very abnormal. And then they had, of course, there's 18 counties now been declared natural disaster, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Oh. And they had severe windstorms down in Lower Peninsula there, northern Michigan. They had what they call straight line winds, and I think they even had some tornadoes down there, strong winds, and caused a lot of damage, caused a lot of power outage. So this winter up here in Michigan's really been abnormal, and this abnormal weather is a lot worse than the normal winter weather. So,
wow.
Yeah. And then, of course, we've been getting some spammers in here, and then a lot of calls and so forth. So, and well, we hope that that's going to be cleared up now after a while. But at least I got in, and yeah, I'm still here. I'm still plugging away. Not doing it as good as I used to, but we'll just keep on going till the time comes. So.
Yeah, keep on trucking, my brother.
Yeah.
Keep on trucking.
Yeah, no, incidentally, it's been a while. It's been a while since I talked to him. I can't get him on a regular basis, but I did get a hold of Jay. And, of course, so that's about.
Well, thank you so much, Ken. I always appreciate that you are safely always trying to call Jay. Is there anything you'd like to add, Ken? Did my phone drop this call?
Henry? No, I can hear you, Anne-Marie.
Oh, good. This phone's on its last leg. Who's this?
Hello, Anne-Marie.
Hi.
This is Kurt. Hello.
Hello, Kurt.
Yeah, I was thinking about scamming from the Watchtower, especially the doctrinal things, the doctrinal changes, the new light. And we discussed last week the 6,000 years in 1975. And what come to mind, we had the generation that was supposed to not pass away. But what come to mind a few minutes ago was the United Nations. And we all remember, I guess we all remember, the articles about the United Nations that went on, I guess, for a few decades. The League of Nations that was, and was, or is not, and then was again there in Revelation, became the United Nations, I think in 1945. They applied the Revelation 13. The beast that comes up out of the sea has an image, and that image was the UN, and it would also act as an eighth king. In Revelation 18, it would destroy or burn Babylon the Great, and it would rule for 1 hour. So they joined the United Nations. Of course, in a small way, but nonetheless, they had to join, and that's been discussed on Six Screens a lot over the years. And they were discovered that they had joined, and when they were discovered and an issue was made of it, I think they tried to back out of it. But at any rate, that would be considered maybe a scam from all the articles and partial comments in literature about the United Nations. And then they joined. So for an active witness in particular, they should, I think, feel like that they were scammed when it comes to that doctrinal issue of the UN. Anyway, that's what come to mind a few minutes ago. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, Kurt, thank you so much for calling in, and I appreciate that you brought that up about the United Nations. My memory, I don't know if anybody else goes as far back as I do, but I remember at least once we studied the book the Watchtower published, I think in 1964, Babylon the Great Has Fallen. And it was all about God's kingdom and all of the prophecies and on and on. But what they were quite emphatic about in that book, even showing a picture of the wild beast and the harlot riding the wild beast was supposed to represent, I think, government and governmental organizations, and the harlot riding the wild beast was supposed to be false religion or whatever. But they emphatically had in print in that book, Babylon the Great Has Fallen, that how evil the United Nations was and how corrupt they were, and it was a tool of Satan. And they specifically said, this is not verbatim, but I remember that the gist of it was they specifically said that anyone who had anything to do with the United Nations was actually going to bed with the devil, being in league with Satan. And this was really, emphasized over and over to the rank and file. And then when the internet became available in all households, when AOL went online in 1995, and people were putting up websites, this is before social media, but they were putting on websites, and it came out that somebody had discovered that Watchtower had secretly joined the United Nations. And we were all like, what? No way! They've been preaching and telling us for how many years that they're evil and we can't have anything to do with it. I mean, they would even tell somebody, if you work at a store, you can't sell cigarettes, you're going to get disfellowship, even though it's part of your job. But they're going to join what they call the satanic organization and keep it from the rank and file. So a lot of people didn't believe it. So what I did, and I'm sure everybody else did, we went on the United Nations. We went on the United Nations website. Is somebody trying to talk, or is that me echoing? So I went on the website of United Nations and looked at the member list, and I just scrolled down to W, and there it was. Watchtower Bible and Tract Society was a member in good standing. So it became like hot gossip. Oh my God, Watchtower secretly joined the very organization they said we couldn't have anything to do with. Well, at first, Watchtower denied it. Oh, it's just a prostate lies. Oh, that's just gossip. But when it became evident that more and more people had proof, it's right there on the website, right in their member list. Hello, it was not a misprint. So then when they knew they'd been had, then they came up with that stupid excuse, oh, well, we just needed to join to get a library card so we can kind of know what's going on or keep tabs on what's going on in the world. And that was a lie, because it was discovered that you don't have to join the United Nations in order to use their library. It's just, they just lie. And then when they were discovered to still continue to be a member, I think they call a non-governmental NGO, non-governmental organization. After 10 years, I think they joined, I don't know, around 93, 90. I just know they were members, active members of the United Nations for 10 years. And then they quietly just, excuse me?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I thought you were going to pause there. That is very good. I've been listening to every word of that. Very good research on your part. And you remember that it was the UN was designated by the Watchtower as the abomination of desolation that stands in the holy place, in place of God's kingdom. You remember that, yeah? So, again, all that information you gave on your research there, and all they have said about the UN, and then becoming any part of it, to me, is just shocking, and probably shocking to anybody that grew up or been around the Watchtower. So again, like a scam, I would say. I guess you probably agree with me. Yeah.
Sorry, I put down my phone. Yeah. Thank you, Kurt. I was just thumbing. Go ahead, dear.
I didn't want Kurt to go away. I just wanted to chime in and add. I felt exactly the way Kurt felt. I was the reader for the book study when we went over that Revelation book, not once but twice. I read every word of every sentence of every paragraph of every page of that entire book 2 times over. And to sit there and read the language that they used to use, I mean, it was every word except a curse word, in my opinion, at the negative sentiment that they hurled to the United Nations, only for us all to find out, as you and Ken have just so poignantly said, that they were members and had been members for almost a decade and would have continued to be a member had not a newspaper organization called them out on it. And it's so interesting how that happened. If you guys recall, it was, Watchtower loves to blame anything negative on what they consider to be apostate. This wasn't an apostate that called Watchtower out on the UN membership. It was a newspaper. It was a newspaper. I believe it was The Guardian out of the UK, and I know that because I actually read The Guardian when I'm at work at lunch, and I read this at work. I knew nothing about XJW Witness Community. I was just simply reading the thing at work, and I saw JW, Jehovah's Witness, and I clicked on the link and read that, and I just couldn't believe it. So yeah, what a scam! What unbelievable! And to sit there, and not only that, you guys probably remember this too. And I don't know if it was Brother Farron or who it was, but they posted pictures of this. Watchtower actually sent not one, but 2 missionary, what do I want to call it, graduate classes to the UN as a field trip. And you can see the pictures. They were so bold. They all had on their Watchtower, what do you call those things, Anne Marie, that you wear on your breast pocket there when you go to the convention, the badges, I guess they're called. So all of these missionaries had Jehovah's Witness badges as they were touring the United Nations on 2 different missionary tours, and took pictures of us. And the pictures are out there. I've seen them. And, I mean, it's so shocking. It was almost like my mind couldn't even process how you could sit there and call them the seed of the devil, and then go and join, and then send missionaries there to walk around and take pictures and smile and wear your badge. Right. I don't even know what you say about a group that's that hypocritical and diabolical.
Yeah, thanks for all the information, Stephan. Thank you for all that.
Yep.
Hey, Anne-Marie.
Yeah. Wait, who was the previous caller? Was that Stephan?
That was Stephan, yes.
Okay. Hey.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. I had a couple of things to add. I'll come back later.
Oh no, stick around. I want to hear what you have to add. Go ahead.
Right, so this is really good. This is a really interesting one. I'm sure everyone will remember in the Awake articles, like the Awake magazines, I used to sit there and wonder why we have UNICEF promotional material in the Awake magazines. Am I the only one imagining this, or can anyone else remember? We used to have regular.
I'm not sure
We had-
yet.
in the Awake magazines, almost on a monthly, regular monthly issues of the Awake magazines, I remember seeing UNICEF articles. United Nations are doing blah 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 here, and they're doing this there, and ultimately Jehovah's Kingdom is the one that's going to bring about permanent peace. So you can see how it's double, like they're appeasing both camps. So from our perspective, we're thinking, oh look, they're just highlighting a worldly attempt at bringing peace and security and blah blah blah. But ultimately, it's going to be Jehovah's Kingdom who does it. For them, for the outside, it appeases the charter that they've agreed to as an NGO, which is you have to fulfill and promote the ideology and the mandates of the NGO to be an NGO member. So it's a win-win. The Watchtower thought we were just oblivious to the fact that they were official members of the United Nations. When my mum found that, she was mortified because that was a really big one for her to push her out the organization as well. That's what I wanted to say, really. But it was really interesting that regularly the Awake magazines had article after article highlighting what the United Nations is doing here, there, and everywhere, and UNICEF and so on. Very sneaky, Watchtower. Very sneaky. You know?
Yeah. Stephan, I'm sorry, you just spoke. What was your name, sir?
Me? Maverick.
Yes, you.
Maverick. Maverick from the UK.
It's Maverick.
Maverick.
Oh.
There you go, Maverick.
I thought I had a distinctive voice. Probably it's blending in now. Maybe.
I knew who it was immediately. I said hi.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, no, I think I'm waiting for my. I've got a little bit of some good news to report, just very briefly. 3 of my former. I've said this maybe in the comments a couple of times, but 3 a brother and sister couple and another sister. 3 of them have woken up in the last 6 months, and they've left and they've got back in touch. They've got in touch with me, and the sister actually apologized for shunning me. I said, no, you don't owe me an apology at all. She goes, no, I do. I really thought that you'd left Jehovah and blah blah blah. And I said, no, that's our brainwashing. I've done that to other people myself. So, but I appreciated the fact that she acknowledged that at the time when my name was announced, she said it was very, very hard for everybody because they just thought I left Jehovah and it's apostate now because I was talking about issues to do with doctrine, especially the 607 stuff. So they knew that it wasn't anything else that was that announcement came from. But I just thought I'd let everybody know that that's really good news. That's 3 people now. So we're going to actually get together and catch up properly. It's a lot of catching up to do for the last 10 years. So, I just wanted to say that. I'll let someone else carry on.
That is amazing. Awesome news. Awesome news.
Yeah. And the fact that they acknowledged, the sister acknowledged that they didn't understand why I left. Yeah. And lots of rumors were going around. And I basically, because I didn't really detail out to everybody my reasons, but 1 or 2 people knew why I left. And I was discussing specifically with the 2 brothers that I knew well, and sort of very, very vocal and open about it. The issues that I was saying, I can't reconcile these issues, basically. And so what happened in the end was they all backed off as they do, and rumors and things have started at the same time. But I'm very curious now. The first question I want to ask these friends of mine from 10, 13 years ago is what was actually said about me at that time? What was the actual rumors going around? So I'm very curious now. So I'll update everybody when I know myself. But I just want to know. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Maverick, can you ask them when you finish that point? Can you ask them what woke them up and let us know?
Yeah. Well, I did get some information about some of the reasons. One of them was from the couple. They basically had an issue with the fact that certain words have been inserted into the Bible, like in Colossians, where it says all other things were made. But in Colossians 1:15, that passage, and John 1:1. So it was, that was a couple. The sister, I've forgotten, she did mention one or two things that she mentioned, but it was doctrinal reasons. They had issue with the fact that they took the Watchtower's taking liberties with the Bible and basically twisting it for their own ends. And I've just literally, it's only this week that I've got back in touch with them. So I will update everybody when I know myself exactly. I will do that for everyone. Yeah, because it's interesting how it's interesting. I've lost touch with a lot of people, but a lot of changes happened in my congregation. So it's going to be very, very curious for me actually to see where it's gone. So yeah, it's just nice news. It's really nice news. They're very raw though. They're very, very raw. I tried to send one or two little bits and pieces to them and it's like, no, I can't right now. And I just thought, oh yeah, flashback to when I was just 2 months out. So slow the horses. And I said I won't bombard them with anything. I just let them ease their way out and support them as best I can. Really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
Maybe months down the road, you can mention about Six Screens, because maybe they'd like to just chime in and just listen from time to time and know that there's a community out there. They don't have to feel like they need to come in and tell their departure story, but they just may want to just listen in. I listened in for months before I called in and spoke a single word. I called in on the same show that Joe and Fran called in the first time, but I had been listening for several months. I didn't know what to say and all of that. And then once you start, you can't shut up. So, but maybe down the road, just mention they might want to listen in.
Well, I have to say, Stephan, I really enjoy the way you expound the logical flow that I do enjoy listening to everybody, like Anne-Marie as well. And, it's really nice to hear people's experience, but it's nice when a person can go walk a person through. That's what the benefits of having these live shows is. Basically, you can walk someone through and join the dots with them in a logical order, in a very, in a really easy way for people to understand. Funny enough, I'll end on this quickly. There's a website called Watchtower way back. It's called JW Way Back or something. I'll have to put it in the comments. And I downloaded 64 of J.F. Rutherford's actual recordings of his talks on the 1930s. Wow, what a gold mine that is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very easy to get hold of. I'll put it in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
My goodness, talk about self-incriminating statements. A multitude.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. He actually said, I can put it. This is what he said. Do you mind if I just put this 10-second little snippet of it? I wonder if this will play through my system. Hold on. Yeah, this is what he said. Hold on, if it'll play. Will it play? Probably not. I'll have to queue it up because I've got an audio desk here which I can queue up sounds. But he said that the truth is more important than any man or organization.
Wow,
let's go.
That is a true statement.
Yeah. So
what about the statement that he said that if a truth comes from Satan, the devil himself, it's still a truth or something bizarre like that?
He did say that. Yes, I remember that. Yeah, he did say that. So out of the horse's mouth, you'll get everything you need to wake yourself up. Really, if you're honest, that's it.
That's exactly. You can see why they've been trying to make a concentrated effort of separating Jehovah's Witnesses from Charles Taze Russell, almost implying that he wasn't really the person that started the organization, because they're trying to get away from all these crazy, expressions. But you can't. He started the group. Just because you change your name doesn't change, who you are. And the same group with that name, Jehovah's Witnesses, is the group that Charles Taze Russell started.
Exactly. Yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So they can't get away from it. I think that's what they rely on, Stephan. They rely on separating everybody from each other, controlling the information, and scaremongering people to go and look outside. Once, I mean, I wish I had the internet when I was in there. You know, if I had the internet, my curiosity would have been too much. But I mean, now people can, you know, quietly, secretly look at what they need to look at, and verify the facts, because the facts are the facts. You know, that's the thing. I was always logical like that. I was logical. I was like, if this is, I used to say to people, if something's wrong, it's wrong. And sometimes people at the doors when we were on the ministry would say, do you know, da 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 da, and you know, this that happened, and this something horrible, like the Watchtower, they found out about that we didn't know about. I said, well, if that's true, then I can't defend it. And that's it. You know, that's the way I was. I was never like, oh well, you know, maybe it's this or that and the other. You know, maybe it's not this, or maybe it's not true, or they're lying. No, if it's true, then we've got a problem here. But yeah, you know, I was like that, and it's honesty. It's not intellectual or logical. It's not intellect or logic. It's we trusted them. That's it. People wonder, was that stupid? No, we weren't stupid. We just trusted. Trust is a powerful motivational force.
We trusted, but it's also like you just said, we didn't have access to the body of information that people have access to now. I mean, I always take my hat off when I hear these younger ones in their 20s or even in their 30s, or maybe even in their teens. It's like, you know what, this message always seems strange to me. I never wanted to be a part of this. But the difference, I think, between that generation, you know, your generation, my generation, Anne Marie's generation, we didn't have access to this body of information. Where would we have gone to read any of this and study any of this, unless you know, had maybe an older relative that had some of these older publications? And then, of course, you would have been told, well, that's old light, and they would have just kind of, you know, ghosted you away from that and all of that. But we wouldn't have had information to really go out and compare. You know, you're told not to compare. You're told this is all you need. And like you said, we trusted. We trusted our parents who told us this was the truth. And when you go to the meetings and the friends, and they're all encouraging you, and the peer pressure that you receive from them, and then you don't have anything else to really go and compare it to. So it's a completely different world now with the access. You can just get online, like you said, this website. You just download it. And we wouldn't have been able to download anything from Charles Taze Russell.
Yeah. That's the only defense they have, Stephan. The only defense that the Watchtower has now is to fear the person into not taking that step of having the courage to go out and look and investigate and examine and join the dots. You know, that's the only defense they have. Once a person takes that step and has the courage to do that, it's game over, because there's so much evidence, as we know. I mean, that was for me. I did, you know, like the book Gentile Times Reconsidered from Carl Olaf Johnson.
Yes.
I didn't know that book was published in the 80s. So it was like, oh my goodness me, this was available to me all that time. Had no idea. If the internet was available to me in the early 90s, I would have had a head start. I would have saved 20 years.
I'd like to bring up another scam maybe you guys and Anne Marie might want to consider. Something you already know. It has to do with money. The New Testament Christianity, I don't know any follower of Christ that was materially wealthy that I can think of. You can't serve two masters, and the love of money is condemned. And in groups down through history and today, groups, the elite move to the top, and they're usually a lot become materially rich from it. In the Watchtower, you have particularly the governing body that benefits from the money that these kids send in their lemonade money, so to speak, and people donate their material possessions at death, their homes. The Watchtower seems to always be asking for money. I heard Grace mention that earlier about Russell's statement. that we all know about. But today, these upper echelon, the governing body in particular, they really benefit. Somebody's washing their clothes, they fly first class. They really don't have much to worry about as far as living in this world, except, their direction there at the Watchtower, and trying to figure out where this money goes. Also, the Kingdom Halls, the selling of Kingdom Halls, of the real estate they own, their real estate company, but the selling of the Kingdom Halls. I doubt if they're using much of this money for the direct preaching work. That's what my opinion is. So again, I would consider it a money scam. You have Rutherford. Somebody mentioned Rutherford a minute ago. Maverick, I think. Rutherford even, lived an elegant life. We all have talked about it. And so that's what you have in the organized religion, and the Watchtower is a good example of it. Anyway, thank you.
Can I say something?
Wow, that's great.
Even Rutherford.
Chime in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Tom. Before we get too far, I've been trying to not jump in, but so I want to go back to when you were talking, Anne-Marie, about how when I remember when they stopped taking or charging for our the publications, and they said that if they have to charge, then Jehovah's not backing this organization. But I think I remember feeling and just believing, I think because I also watched the news and stuff, and I know that they were cracking down on religions about their tax-free status, and I had a pretty good idea that the whole reason for changing that policy was so they didn't have to pay taxes on the money for the publications. But a lot of people just never really put two and two together on that, and they just believed that, oh wow, this is amazing. And then as far as like the United Nations, I remember after I had left, and then I went back and started studying again once I got married. And the pioneer elder that I was studying with, when I found out about the United Nations, I told him, and he didn't believe me. And he mentioned it to a bunch of other elders. They didn't believe it. And it took them a lot of research because we did not have the internet, and for them to actually find out that I was telling the truth, but they all thought that I was making that up. And they did not know how to handle the actual fact of the matter when they did find out. So yeah, the United Nations, when that did come out, I remember it was a very big deal for a lot of people, and it was very hard for a lot of people to accept. And they had to. I think that from the best I can understand is the cognitive dissonance. So they had to come up with explanation for themselves. So, and I just wanted to bring up that I remember those stories, and I remember that was one of the things, especially, when they stopped charging. I started seeing a pattern. When they make these changes in this new light, it's actually not new light. It's because legally they have to do this, and it's really, really good. Back up to the newest person that was talking. It's awesome to hear these great stories of people that are finally waking up. But it's like, I remember those things from long ago, and I think a lot of people, when they really, they might have thought twice about it, but then they forgot all about it and just accepted it. And then as Ken whoever was talking, there's been a long history of money scheme after money scheme after money scheme. And I remember at the assemblies at the end trying to get people to make their wills out to the organization that never felt right to me, even as a kid. I always thought it was wrong. And they still do that. So they do ask for money. And all of the new things that we're seeing that are coming out because of the internet, I agree with. I just wanted to share my experience and how important I think it is for people to realize that this has been going on over and over. Another thing that it all keeps getting exposed, but most people that still remain witnesses for some reason, they just have to bury it or something. I don't know what it is, but it's just the evidence is there.
Okay, did you say your name was John? I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Yes, Tom.
Oh, Tom. I'm so sorry. My ears aren't as good as they used to be. I appreciate your bringing it. No worries. I appreciate your bringing up the scam. They definitely charged for their literature and they made money off of every piece of literature. I think it was back in the 20s and 30s. They actually had homeless camps for as pioneers. They literally were homeless and they were camping out and they spent their entire day serving Watchtower door to door. And what was really sad is they had to buy all their literature. I'm not sure the exact amount, but it would be like 3 cents or 2 cents, and they'd make maybe a penny or 2 pennies off of every Watchtower or whatever they sold. And that was their food money. That was their expense money. And it's sad because Watchtower was making money, and these poor servants, originally called coal porters, which if you look up coal porters in the dictionary, it describes coal porter as being a seller of religious literature, which explains why they had to change the name. But as far as the literature they used to sell, in 1988, I believe, was a court hearing, the trial for Jimmy Swaggart, a very well-known fellow evangelist at the time, very popular, and he had been caught basically for tax fraud because he was under the 501c3 and carrying the tax status. And
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on, but I can't hear what you're saying. I'm sorry.
No, Anne-Marie, maybe you need to change phone because it's really coming in and out, so it's impossible to hear what you're saying.
I'm sorry. My phone is so bad.
Maybe I could fill in just with a little thing. I was just thinking that not everybody has been here every week. We have to understand there are new listeners. So sometimes I feel like I'm repeating myself, but actually Rick has 7,300 subscribers now. When I came on, it was about 5,000. So there are new ones here, and I wanted to mention, because I think this is important, Anthony Morris, former governing body member, is no longer a governing body member. He left under suspicious circumstances, and JW.org bought him a nice modern house where he and his wife can live in until they die. And what are they doing to other members who works on the floor with sweat all day long? What are they getting? No, they just throw them out like they are garbage. So they are making a difference in people in this organization, and that's just disgusting to me because Jesus didn't make a difference in people. Thank you.
Great comment. I wanted to chime in for some new YouTube shows. This wonderful young hip-hop couple have a show called Awaken Truths. Again, the title is Awaken Truths, and they have a regular show, and they're wonderful. It's like that young witness couple you'd like to have in your dinner party. And the other group, a married couple that are older, they have all the history of the Watchtower, and their show is David and Vivian Aspinall. David and Vivian Aspinall. And they go deep into Russell stuff, Rutherford stuff, the UN stuff that Tom mentioned, and they even read paragraphs to you from the ancient material. So if you're more scholarly, that's kind of a fun thing. And if you have questions, you can go back on years of shows that they've done. So just wanted to mention that.
Can I just chime in and say one thing?
Of course.
To the point that Pixie just brought up about the YouTube channels, that is so important, and that gives me so much joy, because these young ones, they are waking up, and they're doing what young people do. They take to the digital airwaves, because these people are digital natives, where they have a voice that can be heard with anybody, no matter where you are in the world, and they are on fire. Every week, they're publishing videos that relate to all of the evil that this organization has done to people. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing you can say that's going to stop them. That fire is in their belly. And she just mentioned 2 channels. Those channels are probably just, David and Vivian Aspinalli have been around for a really long time. But the couple that she mentioned, they've probably only been around a year at the most. And there's many, many more, outside of that. And just to show you how these young ones are waking up, I listened to a video just last night. It was 2 gentlemen who are not Jehovah's Witnesses, are not affiliated with Jehovah's Witnesses in any way, but they went to a meeting, and it wasn't a memorial, it was some meeting. They just wanted to see what all the hubbub was about Jehovah's Witnesses. So they just walked into a Thursday night meeting, apparently recently, and they commented on the entire experience. But the one thing that really stood out that ties directly into the young people leaving, they said there was nobody in there under the age of 40. They said nobody, everybody was middle age, nobody in our age group. And that really lets you know that the younger people are waking up, because they're seeing and reading and hearing these things online. And like Maverick said, they're going out, they're investigating it, they're seeing that this is an evil cult. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And that really lets you know that this organization is doomed, because no organization can succeed and can continue if there's no young people. And this organization is using their young people, as all the comments have shown.
I hear here, and I would like to say thank you, Rick, for making it possible for us old fossils who are not adept or whatever. We're not good with computers, and we can't make our own YouTube channels. We can talk on the phone, and you give us that option, and we have a voice, and we thank you for that, because without you, this isn't possible. There's no other tool that I know of where I can actually voice my opinion in real time. This is awesome. Thank you.
What was your name, dear?
Yep, here. Tom.
What was that?
From New Hampshire.
What was your name?
T-O-M.
Oh, Tom, I'm sorry. Am I coming in any better?
You are coming in great.
A little bit better.
I'm using a Bluetooth, and it's not very good. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just wanted to try to explain about the Watchtower literature that they used to sell, and then they said it was free. Am I coming? If anybody can tell me if I'm okay, I'm trying to make this phone work.
You're okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you. So in 1988, I believe it was, Jimmy Swaggart, a famous televangelist, was on trial for evading, for tax fraud, because he was making money off of his religious literature. And Watchtower was in with him as far as being a friend of the court, because they were hoping he would be found not guilty. He was found guilty, and they knew that, they would probably get in trouble. And so, for also doing what Jimmy Swaggart was doing, making money off their religious literature. So all of a sudden, Watchtower comes up with New Light. Oh, New Light, Watchtower is now offering literature for free. But then they were pushing donations. They'd have a nice can or a box right smack in the middle of the literature counter. So when witnesses went to the literature counter to get their
magazines, they had to have their money ready, or else they'd be getting a stare down. And hello, there's the donation box. And they were also, Watchtower was putting on at the service meeting parts to where you could basically cajole and manipulate interested persons to donate for literature at the door and so on. So it turned out that Watchtower was making quite a bit of money. And that was really sad, because you're not supposed to be registered as a charity and making money hand over fist, not paying taxes on all of the property you buy and sell. So I just wanted to bring up really quick that if you guys remember, there was a terrible hurricane, I believe in September of 2017 in Houston. The Houston area, specifically Houston, Texas, was hard hit. And, you know, Watchtower put out the call, oh, our poor brothers and sisters, you know, who were victims of the devastating effects of the hurricane, you know, please come and help. And these brothers and sisters were on their own dime, taking off work, driving to, you know, the area to help the brothers and sisters. But what was really awful is that Watchtower, maybe a couple of months later, or not too soon after the hurricane, after asking everybody to come help, they were selling off all of their construction equipment, all of their trailers, at least 2 kitchen trailers, and they could have driven to Houston to help the brothers and sisters, and they were having this huge auction sale in Belton, Texas, at the Bell County Expo Center, I believe September 22nd through 23rd of 2017, and that's like right after the hurricane. So while they're telling all the sisters, come on your own dime and work for free to help the brothers and sisters victims of the hurricane, the Watchtower wasn't sending any help. And this is a sad, sad thing. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. And quickly, Watchtower accidentally revealed their property management hub on YouTube, and Kim Mikey on YouTube exposed it, that the service year 2018-2019, the coordinating committee report, JW broadcast. So like I said, they accidentally revealed their property sell-off at about 6 minutes and 50 seconds in the video. And let me see, I have to say the name of the video, and I totally don't know where I wrote it down, but it's Kim and Mikey, basically Australian. No, that's not it. I'm so sorry, guys. I have so many notes. But basically, they were sharing how many hundreds of Kingdom Halls they had said, and that they had sold. Like, I think 677 Kingdom Halls were to be sold. In addition to that, they owned residences and 423 plots of land that were going to be sold. They've already sold off, as far as I know, as of a few years ago, 31 branches that they have closed down and likely sold off. And it's just hundreds of Kingdom Halls are slated to be sold. And this was a 2018 video from Kim Mikey. And the Watchtower accidentally revealed that they had another 3,695 Kingdom Halls slated for sale. And that's like really, really sad. It's really, really bad.
Hey,
anybody? Go ahead.
Marie,
what's your name? Well, this is Stephan.
I just wanted to add very quickly, going back to that Jimmy Swaggart investigation. I don't know if people know this or not, but if they don't know, they can go and look this up, because this is evidence. Watchtower wrote a letter, which in Latin it's called an amicus curiae, but it just means a friend of the court letter. So it's almost like a person vouching for another person. Watchtower wrote that kind of a letter in behalf of Jimmy Swaggart while he was being investigated for his financial fraud. And again, you can go and look this up. The hypocrisy of this organization knows no bounds.
Yeah, that is true. The name of the Tim Mikey video about the Watchtower accidentally revealing their property sell-offs. The name of the video is More Congregations Dissolving. V as in Victor, AA, press release, date November 5th, 2017, I believe it is. They bring out, between them and Rick brings out, I swear, we find out everything. Thank you for that, Stephan.
Hello, Anne-Marie.
Miss Susan, my sister.
Hello.
Hi.
We lost her.
Sorry.
Hello.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, this is Joe and Fran.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Fran, you sound like Susan.
Well, it's a compliment. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good to hear you and the talk tonight. Stephan mentioned about young people coming out and putting out videos. Another good one, Heliocentric. It's put out by an atheist. He was never a Jehovah's Witness. His name is Jared. And he goes to the Kingdom Hall and then he'll do a video on it. He did go to the memorial. I don't know if anyone saw it, but he was so upset. He was practically in tears. And the reason why is that he knows that the witnesses are so blinded and it just breaks him up. But he put out a really good video. What happened he's very favorable to the ex-Jehovah Witness community, but he feels for the witnesses that are still in because they're trapped. And there was this little boy there, and the little boy was helping him with, his iPad and showing him scriptures. And he said, I just feel bad for this kid because he's growing up and it's not a normal life. But if anyone gets a chance to watch it, the channel is Heliocentric, and his name is Jared, and he puts out some very good videos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well.
Hey, Anne-Marie and Fran, don't hang up.
Okay, I'm here, Stephan.
I just wanted to go, like you said, the young ones making the videos. This was the other thing that stood out, but I didn't want to take up more time. These two gentlemen that went to the meeting, and they must have gone to a meeting very recently. The one thing that they commented on, which really blew me away, they said from the moment they stepped foot in the Kingdom Hall, they just were accosted. He said there were 3 different males, older gentlemen, that walked up at different points, introduced themselves, asked them what their name, and the very next question was, where do you live?
Yes.
And they kind of looked at each other like, where do we live? And so I don't know what they told them. Then another one walked over, introduced himself, asked them their names, where do you live?
Yes.
And so they were starting to feel really uncomfortable. Then the third brother walks over. This is before the meeting even started. Same thing, where do you live? So then this one brother walks over and he asks if he could sit with them or if they wanted to sit with him, and he would show them how to navigate the Watchtower app, JW app, or whatever it's called. And they kind of looked at each other and they were like, well, isn't this a church? And they were like, well, yeah. And they're like, well, the only thing that seemed to me we would need is the Bible. Why would we need an app?
Wow. Yeah.
And then he said, and then we looked around and he said, and everybody had computers. And the guy said, no, they're not called computers. They're called tablets. He goes, oh, yeah. Everybody had a tablet. He was like, there was only one person that they saw that had a Bible. And he said, it was a much older gentleman. And they just assumed he probably couldn't navigate a tablet. Other than that, everybody had tablets. And he was like, it was the weirdest thing. And so they're sitting there. So then, as the meeting was going on, they just disliked it and disliked it even more. And so the one buddy looks at the other one and says, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. And after that, I'm ready to go if you want to leave. And he goes, yeah, I'll wait for you till you get back. So he goes to the bathroom. When he goes to the bathroom, another brother follows him into the bathroom and just stands there and watches him. And he's looking at him. And
Are you serious?
I'm sure he's thinking, what? Totally serious. And he says, so he used the bathroom, and he said, and at that point, he was like, all I wanted to do is get out of there. So he goes back into the auditorium, gets his buddy, they walk out. And he says that as they're exiting and in the parking lot, heading to their car, a brother or two is running out trying to see if they could set up some appointment and come to their house and talk more. And they're like, no, thank you. We don't want to have anything to do with this. And they got in their car and drove off. This is the experience that people are having now if they step foot in Kingdom Hall.
Yes, yep. Wow. The book for this week?
They're killing themselves.
Yeah, we don't have to do a thing to help the Watchtower crash. They're doing everything to themselves, everything they do. Personally, just to comment, our biggest intention is to welcome the new ones coming out. They need to know that there's friends out here, and there are. Everyone's out there listening now. We love you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just need to ask Rick real quick because we're a little over time. Rick, how are we doing, my patient brother?
We're fine, Anne Marie. You can go on. We got a lot of people coming in here tonight. Like I said, unusual night of activities. So why don't you go for, say, another 15 minutes or so? We can do that because we want to give everyone a chance to speak up. We got a lot of people in what we call the blue zone. That's the zone where people want to speak up. So let's keep the program going, Anne Marie.
Oh, thank you so much, my brother. Hold on one moment.
Yeah.
Anyone want to speak up?
Yes, the book for this week.
This is who?
By Stein. The book
I'm sorry, I can't understand your name.
It's Pixie.
Oh my goodness. Hi, lady. Go ahead.
The book for this week is by Stein, S-T-I-N, and it's called Terror, Love, and Brainwashing.
Okay.
And it's an inexpensive paperback, and it tells many techniques that cults use, and it's one of the best ones that I've read so far. And the movie for this week, and this movie is appropriate for, let's say, age 9 to 90, and it's called Tuck Everlasting. And it's a sweet little movie, but if you were ever a witness, you will love that movie. And I'm not going to go into it because it'll give it away. It's called Tuck Everlasting. They made it into a Broadway show, and I think it's a Disney movie.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Pixie. Yes, who's this?
It's Maverick again. I just wanted to. I found the website I was mentioning about with the gold, as I say. It's called jwwayback.org. So it's watchtowerwayback.org, and it's a bit like JW Facts, but it's brilliant. A friend of mine put me onto this website, and it's got a huge amount of archived information there, going right back to the 30s and so on, and books, audio, video. So it's called watchtowerwayback.org, and you can just click on the library and search for what you want. And Rutherford's talks are all there, all sorts of stuff going on, photodrama of creation, everything. So and lots of books from Don Cameron and Carl Olaf Johnson and so on as well. So it's another resource if we were not familiar with. Might be worth downloading some material from there for our own archive, just in case these websites don't stick around or they get crashed or sabotaged in some way. I thought it might be useful for people to have that resource.
Oh, good information. Thank you, Maverick.
Welcome.
I love all the information that comes through on the show. I just wanted to throw out for anybody that might be interested, again, about the Kingdom Hall sell-offs. We know in the past, Watchtower would require the elders from a congregation that wanted to build a new Kingdom Hall to come to them for permission to build a hall, permission to get a loan, and permission to buy the land. And instead of going to a regular bank and making their own arrangements, they had to go to Watchtower, take out a loan at 3 to 6% interest. And we all know the stories from the 80s of the quick builds and the brothers and sisters volunteering their labor and materials and so on, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, you know, tapers, whatever. Yeah, there was a lot of basically sweat and labor and tears that went into building these Kingdom Halls, but yet Watchtower has been selling off Kingdom Halls for years. And in this one service year, their report, 2017, 2018, Watchtower sold off 606 Kingdom Halls just in that 1 year of 2017. And in 2018, they sold off 867 Kingdom Halls. Well, this is total of 606 plus 867 Kingdom Halls sold in just 1 year. That's a 43% increase in 1 year. And yet the governing body keeps telling the rank and file, we're growing by leaps and bounds. So then on top of that, again, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but Watchtower had on top of these halls being sold, they had already earmarked another 3,695 more Kingdom Halls to be sold, in addition to Watchtower Properties' 677 owned residences and 423 plots of land that were to be sold. And this doesn't include, again, the 31 branches that we already know were shut down and probably sold off. And that's in like 5-6 years ago, they had already closed down 31 branches. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more. So, and we already know that there are hundreds, if not thousands more Kingdom Halls that were marked to be sold off, because this was a video that Kim and Mikey put out in 2018. So I just wanted to get that in real quick. Anybody want to add anything?
Oh, yeah. Hello, Ann.
I just want to tell
Hi.
Maverick.
Oh, pick the other caller first, please.
Ken, why don't you just go ahead and
I just
talk?
wanted to
Go
thank
ahead.
Maverick for this website.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
good
Well,
information. Thank you, Stephan.
I'm just going to quickly comment here, like what we've been talking about cumulatively tonight. Number one, the Watchtower Society has spent a lifetime misrepresenting, you know, the Roman Church writings on prophecies. None of those prophecies have ever come true. They represent whatever prophecies are in the Jewish Torah as well. None of them have ever come true. And I would just like to comment on Kingdom Hall sales and property sales and everything like that. It's to the since the Six Screens Network has been on, and since we have been uncovering the property that's being sold by the Watchtower Society, it's to the tune of millions and billions of dollars in value. In Kingdom Halls, there's so many Kingdom Halls were sold off, we can't count them all. And guess what years they really bought a lot of property and so forth. Around 74 and 75, they were buying property right and left when the world was supposed to come to an end. So what does that tell you? It's just that they're a deceitful, fraudulent organization.
Oh, so true, my brother Ken. In addition to the Kingdom Hall sell-offs, they marked down that in Brazil in 2018, maybe 2017, Watchtower had sold off in Brazil 850 Kingdom Halls. In the U.S., after selling off, I don't know how many zillions of Kingdom Halls, another 516 more were marked to be sold. In Australia, 32 more were marked to be sold. In the Philippines, 161 were marked to be sold. And this is just a tip of the iceberg just from this, and factoring in that a lot of congregations have been merged. And if you consider that many congregations, maybe 2 or 3 put together to make one congregation, and still the total Jehovah's Witness attendance is still noticeably low at the Kingdom Hall meetings, how can JW still think that the Jehovah's Witness numbers are growing? Watchtower sells off Kingdom Halls that have been mostly built by volunteer labor and paid for by the Jehovah's Witnesses, and yet Watchtower sells them off for a total profit, paying no taxes, while the Jehovah's Witnesses who put in the work, paid for everything, get nothing because the Watchtower hides behind their 501c3 tax status as being registered as a charity. And that to me is a huge scam and a racket because they are directly ripping off their own loyal followers. And I don't know how it happened, but Watchtower, it seems, still held the deed on the property that Watchtower rank and file had paid for to build their Kingdom Hall and the land they paid to build it on. And they pay for everything, pay the loan back, pay the upkeep, pay for everything. But yet Watchtower still owned the deed. They still held the deed. So one caller who was in the work, who was in a position to know, called into Six Screens a while back and said that the first job of a circuit overseer when he would visit a congregation is he wanted to see the books. If a congregation wasn't putting enough money into the Watchtower coffers, that Kingdom Hall would be marked to be closed down and sold. There is so much at the rank and file, faithful Jehovah's Witness, thinking they're serving God. They don't know. And like Mikey said, today, ignorance is a choice because anybody who is ready, pray for help, start investigating, do your due diligence. 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, make sure of all things. We have to use our brain and know what we're doing, what's going on. Anybody want to chime in, speak up?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, this is Thomas Hodgson from Lawrence, Kansas. And
hello, Thomas.
Hello. It's always good to hear you, Anna Marie, and of course everybody else. And, I was just thinking of, as I've thought a lot about before, where on God's earth does all this money go to? It shows you they're really a very evil criminal organization, con men, because they won't even show any transparency and they never give back one penny to help anybody. All they want to do is hold their hand out and find ways to weasel money out of the elderly people that are senile and people that are not mentally stable, and they've been brainwashed so bad, and they practically strong arm. It's just so terrible. I hope we keep getting letters going to the governments about them, because this is a very evil organization. It needs to be dealt with. Elon Musk, I'd like to see him really tear them apart with his group, because I know he could find a lot of evil things going on there.
Well, we can only hope. We're just about out of time. Is anybody wanting to share a final thought quickly? Go ahead. Thank you, Thomas, for that. Anyone want to share a final thought? We need to close the show.
I know y'all that they're a big fraud, and they certainly are, and that is right.
Yep. Preach it, Dallas.
And they're being in there is hell. That's why they call them the Kingdom Hell.
I haven't heard that one before. Yeah, and that's on top of all the poor brothers that cope by drinking, all the brothers and sisters that are on anxiety medication and diet pills to keep going, and sleep medication so they can sleep, and the stress, the nervous breakdowns, the depression. It's so sad, and that's supposed to be the best life ever. I want to thank everybody for calling in. It was a great show. I want to thank everyone who called in and gave such great comments and shares. I want to thank Grace and Ken and Kurt. Thanks Stephan, Maverick from the UK. Want to thank Tom, Pixie, Susan. Want to thank Fran and Joe. Want to thank Thomas, and want to thank Dallas. Thank you so much for tuning in and calling in and giving your great shares. Today is April 19th, 2025, touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower, and we need to go to Rick now and JW World News. Rick?
Well, Anne-Marie, thank you very much. Boy, I have to tell you, Anne-Marie, I'm really impressed by the amount of people that are coming through the 6 screens tonight. Now, I can only think in terms of more and more people are leaving, so our numbers are going to be increased. But I also believe that there's a lot of PMOs, a lot of people that have been hanging on for many years are saying, I've had it. I'm going to listen into the 6 screens. So we thank everyone like you do, Anne-Marie, for calling in and speaking up, but also thank all the people on YouTube that are doing the chatting and the chat boxes, and also on Facebook. Well, thank you for coming in to Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower. Well, we're going to JW World News. Boy, I have to tell you, the news is good again. I mean, it's funny how we use the term good when actually we find bad in the Watchtower. It's weird, isn't it? But we're not in such a way that we hate all of Jehovah's Witnesses, but we love to see an organization that is not doing good. I mean, would you want to see the mafia doing good? Would you want to see a criminal organization doing good? The answer to that is no. Would you want to see drug dealers doing good? No. Do we want to see Watchtower doing good? No. When we see things that we can bring up showing their decline, showing the problems that they're now experiencing, well, we're going to be the first to step out and expose them. So stay with us. JW World News is coming up next, right here on the 6 screens, Telenetwork. Thank you for coming in. We're going to end the stream here, and then we're going to go. Just give us about a minute, and we'll be on with our JW World News broadcast for April 19th, 2025. Thank you. All right, so we can end it there.